Faith, magic, miracles, maybe even grand opportunities for happy endings after times of great difficulty are things promised by a lunation. This is a Taurus new moon coming through our sky at the end of April on the 27th. And we're going to talk about two beautiful stars involved with this particular moon, as well as the asteroid ops for opportunity. We also have some connection to an asteroid called Requiem, which usually is about a funeral. And it may be that this is a moon that will coincide with the funeral for a very well-known person. We'll talk a little bit about what that might mean as well. In each of our lives, this is also a moon at 27 on the 27th of April at 7 degrees of Taurus, that's going to activate Pluto in Aquarius and Mars in Leo, creating what is called a dynamic, intense, critical turning point energy called a T-square. For the world, it's intense. For each of us, it can be a catalyst. It can make us get off our butt and get something done. When push comes to shove, we get moving. Or when the going get tough, the tough get going. So we're going to talk about how to use this moon in the sign of Taurus when it is coming through our sky at the end of April. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac and the whole sign house system. We're also using the stars today. We're going to talk about two fixed stars that are activated on this particular moon because they give us a little bit of detail. When you have a lunation with two very well-known stars or powerful stars behind it, we'll notice that the star Hamal and Schedar both play into the way this moon shows up for the world. And then we'll also talk about in detail the asteroid ops as well. The wife is Saturn, who can bring opportunities and thrival and growth after a time of great difficulty. So who doesn't need that? I'm recording this for you guys on April the 10th. There's going to be a lot of world politics happening after April the 10th. And I'm recording it early because I'm going on a 1-week vacation. And so in that regard, I won't know what has happened, but this video will probably come out maybe about a week from the day I recorded it. My Patreon community gets it early access ad-free, so they're going to get it a lot sooner than you will. Now, I think about this moon and I think about it in a lot of different ways. But one of the things that it does make me ponder it a little bit is that the moon is kind of in the orb of where eclipses were happening back in Taurus. We had eclipses in the sign of Taurus, and I believe it was at 5 degrees of Taurus. This moon is at 7, that we had an eclipse back in the fall of 2022, no, 22, 23, 22 in Taurus. And or was it 23? Okay, I'll go back and get the date of the eclipse. Just give me a minute. But the point is that it's also an eclipse hovering over, it's also a new moon in the space or the region of a former eclipse a couple of years ago that happened in the sign of Taurus. I'll give you the date of that. I believe it was a full moon eclipse in Taurus, and I'm going to give you the exact date. It was in November of 2022 at 2 degrees of Taurus. We had a lunar eclipse, and that was an eclipse that impacted Joe Biden's cognitive health. I talked about that it probably would do that, and it did do that, or it correlated with some warning signals there, because he has his moon at the same place in the sky, and the moon is your mind in Indian or Vedic astrology, but also eclipsing of one's mind. But also we had situations going on with the Russia-Ukraine war. And so during today's intro, when we do the world astrology, I'm going to talk about how the Russia-Ukraine war situation is very much connected to what this moon may give us a flavor of, from both the Pluto and the Mars piece of the sky where the moon is interacting, and also from that eclipse in November. Because in November of 2022, when there was eclipse at that degree of Taurus, what it looked like in that particular war was it looked like a huge amount of shelling. There was all kinds of news stories, particularly around the 22nd of November, about all this shelling of infrastructure in towns and villages in Ukraine that led to power outages and a lack of electricity. So infrastructure damage. Now, of course, the worst fear we have with infrastructure is Ukrainian nuclear power reactor, right? And my concern is that this could lead to some kind of nuclear event, whether it's an accident or it's, a reactor gets hit by a missile, or it has something to do with intent. I don't know. And the reason is because in my article, Nuclear Saber Rattling, I talked very clearly about how the thing going on with Mars and Pluto starting in February of 2024, ending in 2026, January. That 2-year window of time shows a series of escalations in the Ukraine-Russia war as it pertains to the relationship of the United States to Russia and increased nuclear tension, saber rattling energy. But rather than it being directed at Russia, United States directly, I'm worried about a side event, a misadventure in nuclear stories that could impact the land in the Ukraine, or in Russia. So now what I'm going to do, and I know we're all worried about the thing in Iran with Israel. That's another story. It's not connected, I don't think, to this one. I'll explain why. So let me get the world astrology out of the way before we do your sign. Because when we get to your sign, I'm excited because it means critical turning point change. Kind of a push comes to shove, but it's on a beautiful couple of stars that bring us a lot of power. I'm going to describe those in a minute. And the Sabian symbol, which is a sleigh without snow, can be described as what we need to use faith, magic, miracles, imagination, resourcefulness to triumph over something difficult. The sextile to Requiem is probably somebody's funeral and somebody in public office or the Pope. So this is the end of April. So let me first of all just give you the delineation of the nuclear saber rattling story. And the easiest way for me to do that is to take you to my Substack. Because honestly, that way I won't screw up. That way I'm going to tell you the story without me forgetting the story. And if you don't know what Substack is, it's a place where writers go, but I have a weekly audio podcast and all that kind of stuff. And if you want to come over here, you can get a free subscription. And it's called the Pluto Chronicles. And if you want to come over there, all the information to get over to my writing place is in the description box under the video. I'll pin it to the comments if I remember. Nuclear saber rattling on the Mars Pluto horizon. I wrote this in November 20th of 2024. It was my first piece on Substack. I'm not going to read it to you. I just want to go through. There's a lot going on here, right? I want to go through this little piece here. You can take a screenshot if you like of this little section. February 14th, 2024, when the two came together in a conjunction. This is Mars and Pluto co-joining together. The United States warned that Russia was developing nuclear space capacities or space nukes, okay? And then on June 11th, 2024, it's the opening square between those two planets as Mars forms a first quarter moon vibe, squaring Pluto. And we always expect critical things to happen at these turning points in the astrology of synodic cycles. And therefore, June 11th, we saw bravado, and Russia sent warships to Cuba with echoes of the Bay of Pigs in the 1960s, the Cuban Missile Crisis, echo chamber of that energetic, thing. And, for Russia to put warships near Cuba is literally telling the United States, back off, or, we can get close to you if we need to. Because, of course, Ukraine war was funded primarily by money from the United States, England, France, sure, Canada, but United States. And it was a proxy war, the Maidan agreements, the regime changes that the United States and its war machinery tried to enact and create in Ukraine. People don't understand the history of what happened there. Russia said, stop already, enough already, stop creating more NATO states, stop trying to convert Ukraine. It was never going to be NATO. We all agreed on that. It's our buffer zone, our neutral zone between 2,000 miles of our territory and the rest of Europe and NATO. So there really is deeper meanings behind the war than somehow, Putin equals Hitler. That's not the real story, just so you know, but I'm sure you just unsubscribe from me. But it was a proxy war. It's now understood to be a proxy war. The United States was going to war against Russia via Ukraine. And so if you said the word proxy war in the first 6 months after that war, which I did say that, you were absolutely told you were evil and rotten. And now, of course, now we all know what it really was and is. So Russia's got this kind of like June 11th, back off United States. Then on November 3rd, 2024, November 3rd, 2024, we saw this energy of the first opposition between the sun in the synodic cycle, Mars and Pluto. It happened at 29 degrees of Cancer, and Pluto's at 29 Capricorn. And Vladimir Putin met with the North Korean foreign minister, Cho Sun-hui, at the Kremlin. So you know what I'm saying, right? This is in November when I wrote the article. So again, it's kind of an escalation energetically, because North Korea, of course, eventually did send troops into Ukraine, like mercenary style via Russia. Now, when I wrote the article, I said we have two more oppositions from Leo and Aquarius on January 3rd and April 27th. And then the last time these planets are going to make any kind of big news is September 4th of 25, when they come into the closing square. That's like a last half moon energetically to complete that energy. Okay. And then by the time we get to January 27th of 2026, they're going to join together again at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So if you want to see my Pluto Chronicles, and this whole thing wasn't meant to be, I'm not meant to be, what do you call it? I'm not trying to promote my Pluto Chronicles, but that's what it looks like. I just did my politically incorrect Lori Breaks Free Malefic Enclosure, tell it like it is, basically get in trouble, but no one can defund or deplatform me over at Substack. So, maniacal. But this is the kind of stuff I write about. If you're interested, you can find a lot of my articles and my audio podcasts over there, the weekly audio podcast. Now, I do all science content when I write on the bigger pieces. So when I wrote the article, I just knew that we're going to come into this energy again, and this lunation on the 27th of 6th, 7th of April. This is going to be activating just a newly formed around the 26th, 27th of the month opposition between Mars and Pluto. So what happened therefore on January 3rd? Because whatever happened on January 3rd, now we're escalating one more opposition across Leo Aquarius. We're going to see another version of it. So on January 3rd, and we'll get to your sign, I promise. I went back a bit and I looked at November again because I wrote the article before certain things happened, but also around November 19th or so, the United States gave permission for Ukraine to throw missiles into Russia's land, but also all throughout the month of November, there was an increasing threats by Putin that he would use nuclear devices if the United States was going to get involved by having its missiles come into Ukraine. So there was a lot of nuclear threat posturing. January 3rd, when this conjunction was happening, the only thing I can see happening was the pending election. And at that time, around that time, Donald Trump, who is a Leo rising, right? So we do have that Mars in Leo and we have the Pluto in Aquarius, was basically January 3rd posturing like he had won the election, and his like whole thing before the inauguration was lots of conversations about how he was going to bring an end to the war in Russia, Ukraine. If you can find something, though, I couldn't locate it, like January 3rd-ish, around the idea of nuclear threats connected to war. If you could find it, I would love to know, because I couldn't see it in the Russia-Ukraine thing at that time. So, but the gist is we have to be careful. We have to worry. We have to watch out. And here we go again. We're in this kind of opposition. Now, for the world, we are not countries at war with nuclear misadventures. We are people living our lives. And I'm not going to do much more delineation on this. Asteroid Requiem, I'll show it to you, could indicate somebody of great renown. It means like a funeral for a celebrated person. And mostly it turns out to be Requiem is active when famous people are dying. And you'll see that Requiem at 6 degrees of Cancer is, oops, I lost it. Sorry. Requiem at 6 degrees of Cancer, right here. All right, is talking to this particular moon right here. And it's a sextile. So it shouldn't be a hardship, okay? It shouldn't be like, a devastation. I mean, an unaliving event or something. It might be a natural event that, somebody who's well known, maybe somewhat beloved, is going to pass away, and maybe a female, because of the Cancer and Taurus energies, indicating a Venus house and the house of the moon. So could see a famous, well-known female pass away sometime around the end of April. That would be one way to code that for sure. And Israel has its 10th house in Cancer and its moon and its sun in the sign of Taurus at 21 degrees. You'll notice that Hygeia and Uranus are here. So again, there also could be a death of a leader connected to the nation of Israel, who is in power. And yet I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. I mean, I'm just going with world politics and countries that have strong placements in any given place. Okay. You'll notice that Donald Trump's midheaven is still beleaguered. That's health Hygeia, and Uranus, sudden, shocking, and surprising. Of course, that's the house of hospitals. But I don't know. The sextile doesn't make me think this is exactly what a Donald Trump story could look like, but who knows? Requiem, a funeral for somebody well known, to connect it to Cancer. Home and homeland. Anybody? Good old home and homeland. All right. I'm going to move into our sign. And I'm not going to spend a long time on this moon. I'll do an update as we get closer when I know what world events have been like. But I will also say that these stars, Hamal and Schedar, are very interesting stars connected to what light is shining behind the new moon, in the heavens. And this is ops for the abundance. She looks like a pineapple, right? Opportunity, thrival, green thumb, things that grow, sprouts of fertility after a time of hardship. It's connected to the wife of Saturn. It's a very positive asteroid, and it's perfectly on the new moon. So when we think about having gone through any time in our lives that has felt really hard, and we want to come out the other end of a hard journey, and we want to feel like we're going to thrive on the other side, that's what that could be. This is my screen of prophecy by Diana E. Roche. It's battered. I was in Montreal and I left it in the rain. I lost the cover to this book years ago, but I will tell you that it is literally round up 7 degrees of Taurus, and you end up with a sleigh without snow. Keyword is sustainment, like sustaining and keeping on, keeping on. And she says it's the magic of believing. And the symbol speaks to faith that is anything is possible, refusing to fall victim to the idea that everything is contingent on the happening of a prior event, or there's only one way to get the job done. Well, I agree with that. There is more than one way. And so a sleigh without snow suggests insurmountable obstacles and difficulties to the person who accepts limitation, but the symbol alludes to magic and the power of imagination. The challenge is recognizing that nature is generous with her resources. Serendipity, fortuitous convergence of events in time and space, creativity and magical ability to make wishes come true, or a knack for being at the right place and time when things come together in harmony. The shadow would be Pollyanna, or being a fatalistic person who accepts the disappointments in life. Now, speaking of life, the game of life and how to play it. Give me a minute as I get behind this is like a tray table for like TV dinners in my living room. Guys, I read this book like 25, 30 years ago for the first time. I just started rereading it, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. It's a book for a person at a right time and a right place in their life. I first read this 25 years ago and I didn't get it. I'm reading it now at 63 years old, and I'm like, I get it. Everything I read in here makes sense. I'm like, aha, of course, check, check, check. All right. You don't have to buy the book. I believe it's a free PDF because it's kind of an old timey book from the 1920s. And it basically is, you can just download it as a PDF. I think you can some places online now. Well, we're going to go ahead and talk about your sign, and I'm done with the world politics, etc. Right? I want to remind you that if you want to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, it helps the channel grow. I keep nagging you guys, and I'm going to be teaching Sky Reader in the summer, June, July. If you want to jump into the 6-week live course, I usually teach it in the fall, but I'll be traveling Europe this fall. Come to summer school with me. It's been a great honor to have taught so many students, hundreds of students through this class. This will be my 6th time teaching it, I think, and 6 years of teaching it. And if you want to come aboard and learn to time your best life and be your own astrologer, the description box below has a sign up list. You're going to be on a wait list where you get early bird notice for early bird discount pricing, and you get to enroll before anyone else and all that kind of stuff. Check it out below. It's not a hard sell. I love teaching it. People love taking it. If you want to come, I'd love to have you there. Now, and I might lower the price a bit because people feel like economic hardship is upon them. It's usually $333, and I might take it down. Well, I'll let you know how the pricing goes. I put a lot of time into this course, but I want a lot of people to benefit from it, not be financially hardshipped over it. And I will offer scholarships this year as well. All right, so all right, so I'm going to start with all the signs whipping through there. But I do want to say there's something about having a moon squaring Pluto and squaring Mars, creating that T-square that makes this an exceptionally intense energy. So, well, I don't want to sugarcoat it with the stars. I'm going to delineate the stars as well that are behind the moon. And, the Sabian symbol sounds positive. I have to say, it can incite you to critical, dramatic action in the Taurus part of your sky. So the stars are Hamal, Hamal, and it is an alpha star of the Aries constellation, and it represents struggle and strife, but also conflict, struggle, strife, and conflict. Now, hey, squaring Pluto Mars, it's a world thing, right? struggle, strife, and conflict in a world situation somewhere is more like what we're talking about. I will do another video on this later. I'll take a look at the place where this moon is most active on astrocartography. For now, I'm just going to tell you, expect some world events to be very strifeful at this time. But also on the positive side, if you want to use it, you can overcome adversity and have your inner spiritual warrior activated by this particular star. So it's your rah, I can overcome adversity energetically. Now, Shirdar is not in the Aries constellation, but rather in the Cassiopeia constellation. And it's the big star, the alpha star, the brightest star of Cassiopeia. And it's the enthroned queen. Okay, now that's what I said with the Requiem. Could a female in great power fall from power, or literally a requiem be a funeral for a female in power? So alpha star of the enthroned queen, powerful feminine energy, worldly challenges, but overcoming them by expression of one's great gifts. And cautionary note, keep things real and don't expect an easy ride. Then your magic will occur. So we keep seeing, like, you got a sled in the Sabian symbol with no snow. Either you're going to drag it along grumpy because the thing's not moving, or going to engage in some kind of magic, some kind of faith and transformation. So it's like, it's a little bit like, how do you make some really good lemonade martinis out of your, lemons? And how do you take a sled without any snow and make it work for you no matter what, which is purely magical or a matter of faith. So both stars have positive sides, but you have a sense of having to work with what you got. And with ops, it tells us that there's going to be, the asteroid ops is like, there is something that's going to show as an opportunity in your life, but also a happy ending or a thrival that comes out of times of adversity or hardship, the end of a time of hardship. All right, so you got the lay of the land, you get the gist. Let's go through all signs. I'll be putting another video out closer to this moon, and I'll know more about what world events have transpired. As you know, we have an election in Canada on April the 28th. This moon is literally on that election. Whoa, yeah, I hear you guys. And like she says, Carney, Mark Carney, who's running to be the prime minister, is a Taurus. Yes, a Taurus ascendant and a sun in Pisces. Well, the Taurus ascendant is getting epicentered, isn't it, into the thrust of this lunation. I'll be addressing that as we get closer to the lunation, but having a Taurus ascendant in a broad square to Pluto and Mars is not a particularly auspicious situation for someone who's running for power. And you'll notice that if you imagine Taurus as the first house, let's do that so you can visualize. If you imagine that Carney's, oh, guys, it's the software moving without my permission. If you imagine this is Carney's first house, and that this is like the day before the actual election, the electorate goes to vote, and you've got this intense energy angular to him. It's really intense. And in the house of the adversary, which would represent Pierre Poilievre, who is Mars in this chart, from Carney's perspective, from his vantage point, the house of his opponent is where the Vestal flame of devotion is. And it is also ruled by Mars, and Mars is down at the bottom, squaring his ascendant and opposing his rise to 10th house power. Therefore, this looks very gnarly for Mark Carney on the day before the election. The degree of his ascendant, I know I should know that. Let's take a look. Carney, do I have him up lately? I don't know if I've had his chart up in a bit, but we do have a time for him, which is great. Pierre Poilievre, I have rectified by myself. And I do think I got him right as a Cancer rising. If you ever just listen to the guys, I spent a long time rectifying. If you ever just listen to him, like Bring It Home, and a beautiful home on a beautiful street with a proud flag, and everybody sings the national, what do you call the national anthem? We stand on guard for thee, true patriot love, in all our sons command. That's our national anthem. Everybody at his rallies sings the national anthem. Okay. Patriotic spirit, right? Nationalistic spirit. That's exactly the archetype of a Cancer rising. And that's why that's why Poilievre is what you call a populist. He's moving the masses. He's inspiring the masses. Populism isn't the end of the world, guys. All right. This is Mark Carney, the first house. His ascendant degree is on the outside. Of course, I don't have the ascendant in there, but trust me, it's at about 23 degrees of Taurus. Jupiter's behind his ascendant, which is not that strong. Jupiter should be in front. He's carrying old power from other lives. Prenatally, he was a king or a leader. It was behind him. It's not in front of him. But his ascendant is here. And so his ascendant is on Hygeia and shock and awe Uranus. Hygeia could be a health challenge. Maybe he's going to have a health challenge. It kicks him out of the election. If Carney had I don't know, I'm not wishing anything on him, but Uranus rules neurology, like a aneurysm or a neurological problem from a stroke or something. I'm just, making stuff up. I don't wish anyone harm, but that could be okay, what kind of health challenge may smack him right out of the whole thing, or just what kind of Uranian shock and awe and surprises may occur that don't work in his favor. And then from his perspective of his rising sign, the new moon, new beginnings it is behind him. And it's almost like the 12th house. It's called the prenatal above the ascendant. He can't really benefit as directly from a new beginning there. And again, his opponent is it's the ruler of the natally, all adversaries for him are Mars, right? Natally, adversaries are Mars. Yes. And during the actual day before the election, Mars has traveled into his 4th house opposite his 10th house of career and Pluto up there. So this is a very harsh energy for somebody working to win against an adversary or an opponent in an election. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't look good on him, is what I'm trying to say. His sun has been besieged by the hurling rays of Mars up until about the 18th of April. And that's not good for him until the 18th of April. So he's under a lot of turbulence in his 10th house of career. And on the day of the election, Venus is at 29 degrees, getting ready to fall into the house of hospitals or into the house of self-undoing. I keep saying something doesn't look good for Carney, but I don't know what it is. Pollsters keep saying he's winning by a wide margin. And I'm just not sure about what's really going on here. I don't know if the polling's off, like Harris and Biden. I could be very wrong and probably be dumped upon by people who are hoping that I'm right, like Pierre Poilievre is going to be the winner. This reminds me of the whole election in the United States, where you just can't win. If you get it right, you're hated. If you get it wrong, you're hated. But let's move away from that. Let's do your sign. All right. So we're starting with the Aries people. If you're an Aries, this is a money moon. A money moon is happening in your 2nd house. It is new beginnings and fresh starts, and how you get financially well resourced, and how you can, feed yourself, clothe yourself, food and shelter, save your money, have possessions. What do you want to possess? A car, a house, furniture, new beginnings. Now, you do have the energy here of a new beginning with the sense of opportunity after times of stress and hardship. So what is it that wants to be a financial opportunity for you coming off of this new beginning? And with the stars, it doesn't come easy. There's just, Sabian says the sled has no snow. You got to make your own snow to get that prosperity moving. And you got to also deal with Hamal, which is some strife and conflict in your finances. And then Schedar, which is the enthroned queen. But all of them have the idea of getting your gumption on, and really, like, when the going gets tough, you get going when it comes to matters of financial money and increase of your money and prosperity and goodness and opportunity. Now, that aside, of course, I mentioned already that we have this situation. Well, let's go to the basics. We are the witnessing Lord of the lunation is Venus in your 12th house. This is a signification that in general, if you're going to improve your finances, you can improve them from far off foreign shores, moving to another country, distant lands and marketplaces, and also getting rid of your own self-undoing and addictions that could hold you back, especially given 2nd house is dietary style and 12th house is self-undoing. So not only can you improve your finances through foreign places and marketplaces in destined ways, whether you move there or you work with foreigners to create your wealth, or you do digital income, ching, ka-ching, ka-ching, but also it's really a good signature for a really steadfast way of improving your dietary style or anything that goes in nose and mouth that may not be good for you. And getting happy endings after times of travail and prevailing here. The opposition between Pluto and Mars squaring, T-square, and you can see the T-square, right? Yeah, kaboom. Yes, we have a mystic rectangle in the sky in the backdrop, but we can't cover all of the things all of the time. I'll cover it in my weekly astrology for the week ahead that week. I think that Mars is telling you there has to be a breaking, an ending, a cutting, a fracturing, a severing of something connected to the way you engage in your money and earnings, a change of guard. And Mars here is like, okay, this is entrepreneurial, artistic, and creative and joyful energies. And you need to make changes so that the door of the abundance is coming up, so that you're actually thriving. I mean, Mars here, he's ready. Mars was in your fifth house back in, November, December. Now he's back again. So you've been pondering some changes to the way you make the money, especially for creative and entrepreneurial types, and the way you apply that energy to increase. On a downside, a lover or a child could need more money from you, and you'll be pressed to come up with it. The Pluto across the way at the top of the sky, at the top 11th house, opposite Mars. One of the upsides of this is it's it's providential. It's good for you because it brings you supercharged willpower. Like you are unstoppable and determined to accomplish something. And so if you want to take the upside of it, you have an unstoppable determination to accomplish something that increases your career gains, Pluto in the 11th, through passionate engagement and creativity, art, entrepreneurial business stuff. And this looks to me then, therefore, like grinding down and drilling into something you're passionate about, something you're naturally good at, something that's a natural talent. You can, with that willpower, achieve incredibly good financial outcomes and even turnaround stories for your finances as well. This is a quickie because I am doing a longer or second video closer to the moon. So this is kind of the first hit at it. Hang in there. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. What are you going to do when you have this kind of sky? Looks to me like you're going to be brand new, starting over, refreshing yourself, being independent, having breakthroughs in your health, especially with Uranus and Hygeia there. Just like you're going to have fiscal hygiene when you're in Aries, you Tauruses are going to have breakthroughs in your own physical body and your health. Your rising sign is about your body, the character you play in the matrix of life, the avatar. Sun is career and purpose, and moon is home and home matters. But all said and done, generally speaking, you strong Taurus placements experience some kind of new beginning for opportunity and abundance and happiness after a time of hardship. And the stars say, yes, you need to apply determination and strength. And with that Sabian symbol, there's no snow for your sled, but that's not going to stop you. So there's a real either an act of miracles and faith, but also determination and grit. And as you have all of that in your court and you are achieving what you need and you're ready to go forward, Taurus, it looks like you might be changing your home or homeland or traveling far from home in order to have a powerful and wealthy career. Now, this is for some of you. Not everyone will do that, but that's the Mars-Pluto opposition. Otherwise, you could be breaking radically free from some kind of constriction close to home or because of your childhood or connected to where you live. Some domestic strife at home could blow out of proportion. You might quit a job off of this one. You might just up and say, I'm out of here, or your job might quit you. But all said and done, any transformation, cutting, ending, severing, letting go of one path opens up a new one, and it is a happy ending after times of travail, with break free and breakthrough written all over it. I also would say that Venus is watching out for you. She is exalted, she is unenclosed between malefics. She is the actual lunation lord. And so she's exalted in your 11th house of new friendships, new social circles, refreshed and powerful and destined new dreams and goals for your life, the activation of career gains more than you've had before, but you're making changes to get there. So again, some of you are going to have to cut away from whatever your career 10th house story was. And you could literally kind of deploy out because you're having a massive power struggle with somebody in the work situation or an authority figure or a boss. And if you're your own boss, your own business boss, then you're just cutting out of whatever you've been doing. Like you're just like, I'm done. We're going to try something new. I do not know, but for some of you, watch out for the Mars in the fourth house. For domestic conflict, it can be very intense. So this is where I'm just going to say, I think you're divinely protected by Venus because she sextiles you, but you don't need to get into a massive plate throwing episode. You don't need to turn into like what's the name? Oh my God. Oh my God, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right? I mean, that's the darkest side of this toxic vibe of Mars Pluto is explosive and really, really gnarly energy in your domestic life with someone you live with. So just be careful for that. Ultimately, a Vestal flame is shining in the seventh house of the marriage. Wants it to sort of spark up something devotional and positive, but watch out for domestic strife in the short term. You could fight with anybody in your home, guys, your kids, your spouse, your roommates around the moon itself. And the moon is new and it takes up to 6 months to fulfill. So don't think it's a one and done. A new moon, which can take up to 6 months to fulfill for Geminis is going to happen in your 12th house. Your 12th house is like, you can't see it. It's unconscious. You need to get like some kind of sleuth to investigate it. You need to meditation, hypnosis, pay attention to your dreams, because it's a hard place to consciously access. It's your subconscious, it's your super conscious self. Actually, I say your subconscious is your eighth house. And in this regard, the game of life and how to play it, you should read it. But ultimately, something new wants to bring happy endings after time of strife and travail under the umbrella themes of your own self-addicting, your sabotaging, self-undoing nature, your addictions, things to do with hidden enemies that don't have your back, people that are really not looking out for you. And new moons can be a portal of change or a beginning of a new path around those sorts of hidden enemy themes. It's also the part of the chart where you make money, foreign countries, international shores, where you move to another country, new beginnings, new moon here, or move to a distant shore for opportunity and abundance and something fresh after a time of difficulty. And the stars say, well, it won't be easy, but you got to pull up your enthroned queen, right, Shirdar, and you're going to get your mojo on to make it happen. Some breakthroughs here as well, and some breakthroughs in your health, especially if the things that ail your health have been caused by your very own actions, your own self-undoing. And you can really receive breakthroughs in the 6 months that follow this moon, especially from home cooking with the Vestal flame in the 6th house of health issues. Get your flame going and tend your hearth fire and make your own food at home. And I mean, Requiem is like, a funeral for what? I didn't cover this for everyone, but here it kind of makes you think you're going to have a funeral for the thing you love that's not good for you. I hereby have a funeral for grass-fed beef, and I hereby put it to bed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking maybe I'm going to let go of my non-vegetarian lifestyle, or I hereby put to bed the wine. Who knows? Venus is looking from the 10th house. She's exalted. North Node is expanding her exaltation. Saturn says enduring and lasting results in your career. Your career is on jet skis in the water of Pisces. It's going up and up and up. It's doing really well. And as Venus is supporting that career expansion, she looks over at the new moon and says, can I bring you some chunky money? Would you like it from abroad? Do you want, like, not chunky money, but can I make you income from abroad? Can I make you make money because you're living abroad? Can you actually live in a distant shore from where you currently live and thrive even more astrocartography wise? I have a great line going, a Jupiter ascendant line through Quito, Ecuador. And I've got amazing stuff in Rome. And I just might do some of that myself. I'm a progressed Gemini sun. No progressed planets are not as powerful as your natal sky. South Node in the 4th house anyways, indicating some Geminis will leave their home in the next year or two. So we got that backstory there. Watch out for the Mars-Pluto opposition, Duck. This could be some significant blowouts in third marriages, in things to do with travel, some explosive energies going on with travel. So be careful not to travel if you can around the 26th, 7th, 8th of April, where even before that, I'd say do not travel if you can avoid it between about the 22nd to the end of the month of April, because you're going to be in Pluto opposition to Mars on 2 travel houses. So it could be pretty gnarly. You be the one person that goes to the one place where the volcano does erupt. So yeah, don't, so I'd say lay low on travel, but you could have some explosive, intense energy around conflict with a third marriage partner, conflict or blowouts in the end of April regarding siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, or neighbors, just like a shock wave of neighborly disputes that are really rolling through the sky. If you're somebody who does social media, then you might be dealing with trolls in their social media sphere that are over the top. So there's that energy, but because it's a part of the moon and it's anchored at T-square, the moon is a release point for the tension. So you release it by going into meditation, quietude, solitude. You release the tension by going to a foreign country or foreign shore. You release it by focused on revenue that you make through your career from foreign places and foreign shores. Those are kind of solutions. The tip of a T-square is like a release point of energy for the tension between the Pluto-Mars opposition. And there's another way you can look at it too, but I'm not going to cover that for all signs. But there's also kind of like the hidden corner that's not really there. In general, it would be, in this case, Scorpio. So by tending to your health and working out and your health routines, or even getting a pet, you can soften the intensity of what we're seeing in the sky here, or paying off a debt. All right. Hey, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. There's a moon that's happening on the 27th of April that is going to be happening in your 11th house of good spirit, new beginnings and fresh starts, a portal to the new, but with abundance and prosperity and thrival and opportunity after times of difficulty, mostly connected to your long range goals and dreams and accomplishing them, your relationship with a sibling, one older, maybe some, so they could bring you opportunities, maybe some challenges you've had with social groups and friendship circles as well, now coming to some happy endings, and some unexpected surprises as well. You've got a sled with no snow, so you have to make, the effort to make it work, but you can make it work. And again, opportunity and ops are the same thing. And often it just looks like an opportunity from a friend, ally, benefactor, or elder sibling coming from this moon. Well, Venus says from the 9th house, it aligns you with international book publishing, legal matters in your favor, things to do with travel opportunities to distant shores. Literally could look like a travel opportunity with an elder sibling, for example, to a far off shore. That's the kind of thing that could come your way on the wake of a moon on the 27th of April. Give it a couple of weeks or 3 weeks to show you what it's about. Know that it will unfold over 6 months. I want that T-square to be good. So what are you going to do? Mars is opposite Pluto and it's pretty intense. Mars and Pluto oppositions are explosive and intense. So watch out for financial explosions. Now, this can be a problem because, Pluto's in the house of shared monies with your spouse. And so it's possible that there's explosive tensions in a relationship regarding assets and finances, or there's some tension in your earning structures as well with Mars in the second. And there's just a blowout energy. And it could be a blowout with a sibling, one older than you. It could be a blowout with a friend. It could be a blowout with a situation with your career gains itself. Watch out for situations to do with taxes and blowback. Hopefully you filed your taxes without any shenanigans, because the taxes belong to the 8th house and there's conflict here. Watch out as well for things to do with disputes over money, and even someone wanting to launch into lawsuit mode over something, because Mars rules lawsuits. And, so not an easy sky because the moon is still, it's so positive in a positive house. And it's ruled by Venus and she's in good shape. I think it's going to be better than not, but there's a bubble of intensity around the moon a day or 2, 3 before and into the wake of the moon and after. Maybe release some tension by doing things that bring you pleasure, have some fun, go off and have a party, go play a game of Monopoly with your best friend, or spend some time with your children, or get romantically down with your partner, because the 5th house can help you in the position of the offset to the T-square. It can really help you decompress a bit from what's going on around the actual moon itself, 3 or 4 days before and 3 or 4 days after. Remember, every new moon is going to fulfill itself 6 months later in a full moon. Never one and done. So, hey, Leos, what's up? What's going on? It's dark here. It's so dark and rainy that it's dark. Like I've got a ring light on at 2 p.m. and it's dark in here. So let me just nag myself about the dark and dreary Vancouver. Right. There's a new moon, new beginning, fresh starts. Portal of opportunity is coming through your 10th house of career with a kind of enthroned queen, and also Hamal, which says, you can get what you want, but you might have to, go to battle for it. There could be some conflict in order to get the opportunity to work. But whatever the opportunity is, it's a career opportunity and it's a happy ending, and you've been struggling and now you got the right answer. Yay, you. And maybe surprises you with Uranus up there as well. Because Venus is the lord of the lunation, she is about the chunky money. This could be really good on your finances. Some career glow up that gives you like a sign-on bonus, severance package, commission, bonus checks. I don't know what it is, great medical benefits, but that kind of stuff looks good for you as well. Not just around the moon and a couple of weeks after, but up to 6 months after. I wonder if you're looking at the possibility as well, just in your case, for any inheritance money, Requiem in the house of hospitals, and Venus, Saturn, from an elder female. Could you possibly have an elder aunt, grandma, someone who would give you some money? That looks like this could happen off of this. An elder parent, grandparent, money coming your way in the 6 months that follows this moon. Now, with the square between T-square forming because of the Mars-Pluto opposition, if you have a significant marriage type relationship, this is a very difficult time for you in this lunation. Up to maybe a week before and a few days after, you could have some extreme blowouts. And you're the one with the sword in your hand. You're the fierce fighter. You're the one picking maybe on your significant other, but they've got Pluto on their side and they're not dealing with it without they're getting back at you too. So be careful. So there's like power struggle perhaps coming up in a relationship. And if there's conflict here, it may be over matters to do with what you're doing in your career or reputation sphere of life, or even around shared resources. All this tension in the sky with that Mars, and you had that Mars Pluto opposition January 3rd, but not with the new moon, right? At the top of the sky. So it kind of bakes in 6 months of stress with a significant business partner, love partner, client, audience, relationship, partnership. Keep it in mind, right? It bakes in the vibe for the next 6 months. Decompress from that vibe by hanging out in the 4th house alone. The festal celibate virgin in the 4th house, tending the sacred fire. Light your candles, sit by the fire, cook in your kitchen, go to bed early, read in bed, do your home midnight hour to restore yourself from whatever the sky is all about. It's got a lot going on this new moon. Hey, Virgo. I think a new moon in your 9th house is welcome because it flows to you as an earth trine. And so you always like the moons up here anyway. This is opportunity. Now, opportunity and thrival and happy endings after times of difficulty regarding matters of legal court cases, things to do with visas, passports, and long distance travel, things to do with third marriage environments, things to do with academics, university settings, things to do with being in alignment with meaning and purpose in your life, especially in your career. And we begin to see the beginning of opportunity here, and an enthroned queen in the star Cassiopeia constellation, as well as a desire to fight for what you want because it takes effort. And that sled does not have the Sabian, right? It's a sled without snow. So magic, miracles, the power of faith to move mountains and get everything you need and want. This is a house of prayer because this is a house of God. So you could be really pulling a lot of God energy into the story, asking for support from the divine, or just even unconsciously understanding your relationship to the divine intelligence. Well, the other interesting part is that it is ruled by Venus. The moon is in her kingdom. She's exalted and in your house of long-term committed love. Well, this could be wedding proposal-ish or something like it because of the house of churches and temples and synagogues is the 9th. And that could mean you're going to get a wedding proposal in the 6 months that follows, or move in with a person or level up the commitment. But the exaltation could be for your partner, and they're exalted by Venus right now, and they're having career success, Saturn, and expansion, and they get a golden new opportunity. And if they do, it could have them in a teaching position or requiring a visa or travel or even a relocation to a far off shore, especially with Mars in the 12th house. It looks like if it's not about you, then your partner in business or love might be getting some golden opportunities in their career, and it may connect them to other countries. Mars opposite Pluto, watch out for the tension. This can be a real big blowout regarding situations to do with addiction, self-undoing, and health challenges, things that are connecting to your work and your workplace, and frustration or power blowouts with hidden enemies in the workplace or the boss in the workplace. I don't know. Jupiter's protecting you in the 10th house of career and work. So ultimately it works out in your favor. But near the moon, watch out for those blowouts. It could even be something like a legal matter that, or human resources blowout as well. If you're looking for a job and you want to get richer, you could be headhunted off of this. And that may be all I'm seeing. There also is intensity on April 27th around travel to foreign countries and foreign lands. If you are traveling, and I see Uranus, Mars, Pluto connections, watch out that you could be in a travel zone where your flights are delayed or there's problems because of climate events like earthquakes, like volcanoes. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be injured because you're traveling, but I'm just telling you there could be situations going on that mean there's conflict and tension about travel at that time. With the Vestal flame and the Scorpio outlet of the third house, sometimes it could be saying things like, by tending the sacred flame of staying home, closer to home in your neighborhood, you might be better off. But it's not just about the moon on the 27th. It's about over the 6 months that follow, tend a flame of writing, tend a sacred flame of going to local establishments where you feel like there's a sacred hearth fire for you to sit around and enjoy the company of the friends you've known since you were in high school or elementary school, and downtime in the local environment with your routines. That's kind of a decompression chamber for a moon that could escalate you to the great heights of success in your career as well. Just because, of course, it is ninth house energy. 9, 10, 11 can be very career-ish. And otherwise, a lot's going on for your partner in love and commitment, and they may be having a massive uplift in their success, but it's bringing a lot of tension around travel, foreign countries, and foreign shores into the life of the relationship. Moving into Libra, sun, moon, and rising. I can't believe I'm still talking today. This is my second video. I'm going away, and I'm trying to do all my pre-records so I can go away and not have to work on the road. Yes, see overrides a tagger cannot dismount. It's called content creation on YouTube. Every time someone dismounts and they take a break, they don't get the algorithm hooked back on. The tagger walks away and it gets a different rider. You got to keep on keeping on till you're not. So it's really an interesting job, because the job doesn't stop because you take a vacation. Okay, Libra, I'm talking to you because you're the work-life balance people, and that's my message to you. Don't do content creation if you want work-life balance. Number one, there is a new moon. It is a new beginning, and it brings opportunity. It's in the 8th house of chunky money. It's royalty income. It's investments in the markets. It's money that comes through shared resources with a spouse. It's unearned income. It's insurance payouts. It's derivative and royalty income. I already say that one. It's inheritance money. End of story. That kind of money is on the way to you. Anytime from April 27th, add 6 months. And it's full of opportunity, but maybe strife and conflict. Maybe you have to just go to battle to make sure you get your benefits off of this. It could be benefits when you retire and that kind of chunky money as well. Now, you do want to notice that you have Venus, the lord of this chunky 8th house money, in your 6th house of work. So that goes more with retirement benefits to me, or health matters as well, being beneficial to you as a result of some kind of financial increase of some sort, an opportunity, happy endings around your money. And maybe even selling a property, because Saturn, Venus, and Saturn rules your properties in the house of debt relief. So selling a property, coming into some chunky money, putting it in the bank, so to speak, or in your investments, and having more breathing room, improving your health and health routines, maybe getting a new pet off of this moon as well, especially the reincarnation of a dead pet. Now, with the opposition between Mars and Pluto, explosive tension is in the sky between your relationship to a romantic partner, creative projects, friends and allies, benefactors, groups of belonging, your children. There's a lot of tension going on here. You have to be careful. You can use it for extraordinary willpower to accomplish your career goals and increase your gains by being intensely creative and entrepreneurial. The downside is you could fall into a big, explosive conversation upset with somebody important to you, somebody that you would consider a friend or a romantic partner or a child. And so watch for blowouts here, especially around secrets, things that were never told, things that were never spoken. That's the 8th house. The untold tales bust through. Yikes. I'm not kidding you. Expelling the secrets, blowing that up. Could blow the relationship up to a romantic partner, could blow up the situation to do with your friendship circles. Yeah. And And you can outlet some tension by focusing on your dietary habits and eating well. Vestal flame in the second house, tending a flame of good food at home, maybe also tending the flame of your earnings and just working to take your mind off some of this intensity, like doing the work you need to do and let the rest hell be damned wherever it all goes, right? I mean, anytime you see a lot of stuff in the eighth house, you talk about secrets revealed or things that are hidden being seen. So there's some explosiveness here for sure. And with Neptune and Mercury in your seventh house, be careful for deception with a client, a significant marriage type partner, secrets, and then deceptions here and blowouts. Maybe closer to the moon, though, like in the 2 weeks after, but the fallout is going to last for 6 months. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Full moon light in your seventh house of new beginnings in love and relationship. Now, with Venus in their fifth house, if you're with somebody and you're thinking of creating a family, then this is an exceptional 6 months ahead for the creation of a pregnancy and a conception and a birth of a child. So that's number one. Number two, you're all by your lonesome and you don't have a love story. Well, watch out. Here comes a soulmate love story, destined and fated. Venus, Saturn, North Node, enduring and lasting, maybe an age difference with the person. This is a doorway or a portal to an exciting, unexpected opportunity for brand new, long-term committed romance and love. This also could be in an existing relationship, an opportunity to deepen the sexual romantic parts of the relationship, and even to some extent, maybe connect to your partner in a way that is about mutual thrival. You know, how can we find new opportunities together that are inspiring, fun, and creative? But we have an opposition between Pluto and Mars, and that's going to be some tension between work and home, and it interferes with or connects to matters to do with your significant relationship or legal contracts. This could be getting fired or quitting your job. However, do you want to quit your job or get fired because you got something else on the go, an entrepreneurial idea, Venus in the fifth house, a side hustle, something to do with your creative projects taking off, and you don't need the job anymore? You could just up and quit, a volcanic explosive leave taking of some job or career path, or it leaves you, right? The company shuts down, they're laying people off. Take it as a blessing. Venus is saying then you can be creative, entrepreneurial, inspired, have fun, etc. And decompress by alone time, sacred flame in the house of you. How you decompress over the months that follow this moon is to find a sacred devotion to yourself. What do you need in life? Do you need to tend your sacred fire? Do you need to spend more time alone? Do you need to tend your health? Do you need to focus on looking inward, being kind of devoted to yourself a bit more and what you need and want in life? Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a lunation with some explosive tendencies. It's coming off of a new moon, a new beginning, that wants to bring you opportunity. And the opportunity is also like a happy ending after time of difficulty. It's in the house of health. So health challenges, especially with Hygeia, can rapidly, suddenly, and excitedly go away. They're gone. It's fixed. You're all good. And work in situations that have been, unhappy or difficult have happy endings, and your job, employment, work things are now smoothing out. And if you've had debts, too much, credit cards, paying down debts, whatever it is, too many hydro bills, electrical bills, whatever, you're going to have some kind of sudden, exciting, explosive remedy, opportunity for something good to happen after times of challenges here. But if you're looking for a job, it's a golden opportunity for a job, basically. Now, Venus is the ruler and she's looking at the stellium and she's talking to Taurus and she's in your fourth house. Golden rental opportunities to rent a property out that you own or to become a tenant. Golden opportunities to get a beautiful new home. I'm going to do pure polyap, a beautiful home on a beautiful street with a proud flag and a strong military. But you could get a beautiful home, an affordable home. This could be about a home, whether you're renting a home or buying a home, but it looks more rentalish in this thing, renting your home out, renting a new home. Anyway, maybe a home in a foreign land as well. Beauty and love and home in a foreign land, probably rental opportunities here in the 6 months that follow this moon. If you're looking for love, a destined karmic love story because of maybe something to do with travel in other countries. I want to say that Mars is in the house of foreign lands and visas and passports and travel, and Pluto's opposite. You're one of the signs that I warned about Sorry, I can't, everybody all the time, like I said to Gemini risings as well, be careful. This is explosive, unexpected, radical, crazy ass energy. And Uranus brings the unexpected. We can go volcanoes and earthquakes, for example. I don't know, Chernobyl or something. Ugh. So there can be some major problems with travel for you. Like you're the one who should be careful. Like everyone should be probably, but you should be careful for travel the last week of April. Okay, that's all I'll say about that. In the meantime, it could mean disruptions regarding travel or conflicts regarding travel for the six months that follow the moon, and disruptions and breakages and fractures and explosive energies in third long-term marriages, that kind of relationship, or with siblings, younger and older, or you have like intense conflict coming off this moon to do with travel or learning and teaching and work. You want to work in Ireland, but you can't get the visa and it's very intense, or you want to get a job, but you have to finish your university education, but the professor won't graduate you, or like this kind of weird 9-3-6 tension. Eek. And you can decompress in the 12th house, kind of like opposite the whole T square. Solitude, alone time, downtime, ashram time. Okay. Petitioning Buddha time. That's your solution to some of this intense tension. Get thee to a monastery or something. That would really help. Travel to foreign countries for sacred getaways. That would really help. Not because of work, because you're going somewhere because you know that it will soothe your soul. All right. So what about Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign, full moon? New moon and Taurus. Well, it's an opportunity and it's in the 5th house. So it could be an entrepreneurial opportunity, an independent business contracting opportunity, an opportunity regarding children, love and romance, new beginnings, unexpected and surprising. You got the energy of the enthroned queen, and you've got the energy of Hamal, the star, how you want to, there's some conflict and strife, but you're going to push through. You can make a sled move without the snow because you got faith in miracles and magic can happen. There's something enchanting here. It's a house of innocence, wonder, and childlike awe and wonder. And it's a house of fun, play, and joy. So new beginnings for fun, play, and joy. If you're looking for a relationship and you're single, it can open up the gateway to new and exciting relationships in romantic love, opportunity after times of travail in the sexual romantic part of the sky. And also you'll notice that Venus is the ruler of the moon and she's sitting in the 3rd house, exalted. Exalted leisure travel and romantic opportunities coming off this moon. Getaways for love and romance, single Capricorns meeting somebody because they're traveling. However, because the 3rd house also represents your local environment and the neighborhood, not just travel, you could even just be at the local bar and meet your soulmate or something, because local environment and travel environments can give way to new love stories. And that's what it looks like to me. You've got this energy here of explosive tension between Pluto and Mars squaring the moon. Now, this can be money tension. This is 2-8 is a money axis, and blowouts around money with children, or child needs money from you, adult child, obviously. Exceptional tension between your earnings and your investments. You might have to sell some investments in order to make enough money to use in your life, to possess a car, buy a home, something like that. You might have to sell off some investment monies, or cut away some of your money that you don't earn, right? Retirement funds, savings, investments, that kind of thing. If you're going through a strife with Mars, it could be you're divorcing or separating and there's conflict about who gets what and the assets and the resources, and you're fighting over it. And that's the T squared of the house of the children, and you're fighting who gets custody of the children, or the children and you are all fighting, or you're fighting over a romantic love that comes to an ending, etc. And who gets what on the possessions resources part of the story, right? I get the cat, you get the dog, I get the sofa, you get the chaise lounge, All right. If you're an entrepreneur and you're creative and you're beginning with opportunities emerging here, And because Mars and Pluto can be about willpower, you're driven to make more money and to be more wealthy because you're excited and passionate about an artistic or entrepreneurial project. Athena in the second house favors projects that have to do with authorship, but also she's a lawyer. And again, there can be battles over money connected to children and divorce settlements in this sky close to the moon, and it can unfold over 6 months after. With the Vestal flame in the 11th house, spend times with friends you enjoy. Go out and hang out and be with your elder sibling or friends and allies and people whose company inspires a sacred flame of devotion within you. Your social time with others can help, or be devoted to earning money in your career. That can help decompress you from some of the intensity here. But again, if you're single and Venus is in the 3rd house looking at the Taurus, 5th house, could be a fertility signature. You could have a baby. Could be something to do with a grandchild being born. Could be opportunities for travel that are connected to love and romance. Okay, moving into the next sign. Hi, Aquarius. I'm definitely one of you. I have a rising sign in Aquarius. First thing I want you to think about is a new beginning, new moon is happening in your 4th house of home. Usually it means something like a new home. But of course, a new moon happens here yearly, and we don't change homes yearly. So keep in mind with Uranus, it can be exciting, exhilarating, unexpected, changing or new beginnings at home. And Ops is a time of opportunity and thrival after a time of difficulty and hardship regarding land, property, home, and real estate. So my landlord from Switzerland says she needs to sell the place. And after being here 2.5 years, I'll be looking for a new home. So this is a positive thing for those of us who might rehome ourselves over the 6 months that follows the April new moon. Yes, there's a sled in the Sabian symbol with no snow, magic, miracles, and faith, right? You can make this thing work. And of course, Hamal, the star of some strife and conflict, but Shirdar, the star of the enthroned queen in the Cassiopeia constellation, tells us we have a divine feminine power to create what we want in this Venus-ruled 4th house. Venus is in the house of money and earnings, exalted with Saturn and the North Node for increase. There's a lot of stability and financial forms and structures that are increasing your finances that could allow for a very positive transition to a new home. Maybe you can afford more because you have more money to buy or rent a home. Maybe you have an opportunity that some good money, Jupiter is in the house of money luck, win the lottery or something, and you have enough money to smoothly transition with golden opportunities to a new home. Something good is trying to happen, and your money connected to your home and home life. Maybe something you're doing in and from your home goes viral. That's Uranus, and you're able to rake in a bunch of money off of YouTube, and you can set out and find a home. So we'll see what happens. Pluto is in the house of significant trolls. Okay, your trolls are going to April the 18th, the end of April, the trolls are in brute force. So watch out for your trolls in the internet land. But also, this is your spouse or significant other and business partners as well, and audience marketplace. But when it comes to relationships, this is tough. You're Pluto, you're dominating, you're transpersonal, and you're redefining yourself from the inside out. You're butterflying, okay, into something new. Your partner is gnarly across the way. There's separation energy here. There may be some decisions going on in your life to separate out of a relationship. And it may also mean moving out of a shared home or connecting to a partner in a very profound and powerful way about transformation through home. And whether it's a separating energy or it's decisions made together, I can't tell, but it's connected to the word home. And, what was going on with Mars here back in November and December to do with separation, strife, difficulty, conflict, significant relationship, home, because this energy is here, again. I have to laugh at Requiem here. So I'm sorry to say that a pet could die for some of you, but I wasn't using Requiem for all of you guys, but it's also Requiem. This is the Requiem for a rental property. The death of my 2.5-year rental property, because Requiem isn't the house of rentals. Can't make it up. How do you decompress for this self and other tension, or the troll tensions, or even the change of home? Even though you've got golden opportunities and financial abundance, you can decompress in the 10th house. This is like the Vestal flame of devotion. Be devoted to your public life, be devoted to your reputation, be devoted to the work you're here to do that people are witnessing you do by kind of pour yourself into your work, maybe partner with another up here in the work, but a sacred duty, a sacred devotion to the work you're doing can help to keep away some of the uncertainty and the tensions around the home and the relationship axes of the chart. Again, be careful. Anytime Pluto and Mars are in opposition, there can be explosive blowout energies, real power struggles. And that would be evident for you up to a week before this moon, right? A few days after. Keep an eye on that one. Finally, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, a stellium is occurring in your second house of money. It's a new opportunity to make money. Oh, wait, we did that one already. It's Aries. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. Sorry, false alarm, bait and switch. Pisces, it's a new beginning, a fresh start, a new moon with opportunity embedded in the third house of writing, social media, communications, marketing and selling, teaching and learning, and traveling. It's also connected to sibling one younger, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews, neighborhoods, and neighbors. All right. All right. Opportunity, new beginnings, and fresh starts. Exciting energy. Uranus is there. And then we also notice that Venus, as the ruler of the moon, sits in your first house, exalting you. That's beautiful. Like, you have it, man. You are enduring, beautiful, exalted, destined, expanding. You can look at this new opportunity in the third house. So, sometimes we get jobs in the third house, especially if we're going to work at a local establishment. But in the online world, we get employed, quite well employed, actually, online. With Mars in the house of employment, that is another indication of a job opportunity could come, or a career move could come off of this new moon. You always wanted to study a certain course, you always wanted to learn something, and you want to study it online, you want to teach online, you want to travel, you want to get a really beautiful glow up in your social media world. This is your chance. This is looking really lovely. Build a new website, start a new social media platform, start a new project with communicating, marketing, writing, and selling. And it's got opportunity galore with ops here. And it might be hard. You can take the sled, and you don't need snow. Your faith and hope and magic can turn it into a miracle. And you might have to work hard for it, but you got an enthroned queen star sitting here, Shirdar. So you could be an enthroned queen of your online world or something like it. I love this for writing projects as well. Now, the thing about this is that you have Mars opposite Pluto T-squaring into the moon. It's like, do you need to quit a job in order to pursue something else? Do you need to engineer your separation from a job? Are you dealing with power struggles in your existing workplace? Are you dealing with karmic debts and real debts in life that you need to eliminate, like the credit card or the bank account problem, the credit lines, or what are your debts? Okay, because Mars wants to cut them out, and you might be very determined and have a strong will to end your debt situations. And that could be very positive. But I wonder, because Mars and Pluto opposition here can also look like a massive professional space blowout, like a fight with the boss or something near the moon a week before and 3 days after. I kind of want to also say, be careful for injuries. The first time this happened in January 3rd, did you get an injury? Mars Pluto opposition. I'm doing a separate video on Mars Pluto just on that, closer to then. Be careful about falling, injuring yourself, squaring the third house in the local neighborhood close to home. So just, don't overexert yourself. Don't go to like a giant weightlifting class that's way over your capability and injure yourself, that kind of thing. And then watch out for conflicts with coworkers and bosses as well. To decompress from the intensity of this moon, lean into the ninth house of God, light your incense, do your meditations, say your prayers, connect to your pastor, connect to your therapist and coach, connect to the sacred duty of your divine connection and your deepest purpose. By leaning into the house of God with your devotional energy, some of the intensity on 6 and 12 can be diminished. And that's what I've got for you. Now, I will be coming up with another moon video closer to the moon. I'm going to talk about some things I didn't take into consideration this time because I can't cover everything every time. So when I do a second moon video, there's always something new or something different that I'm not covering. I'd like to do a second one too, because I'll know more about what's going on in the Canadian elections, to do with also Russia, Ukraine, to do also with Donald Trump, situations that can be activated from this moon, and see where they are in the storyline by the time we get closer to the 27th of the month of April. Whew. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, check out everything I do, Substack, Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. People say, where do I find your website? Where, guys, under every YouTube video, hit the more button. It's called the show notes, description box, or hit the about section of the provider's YouTube channel, and you also have links to all their shit. I don't know why people always ask that. Of course, we promote ourselves in the about section and under the video. Where else are we going to share it with you? Okay, so everything is under my video. Click the more button, look underneath into the show notes. All right, bye-bye. Have a great, intense moon.